Hey guys, it's Matt. Before I started recording, I was thinking, how many people have started a video like this in the history of video making, of which there's probably been tens of billions uploaded to YouTube? Maybe nobody, but this is what's on my mind, and I got to just get it out. I looked at the CNN headlines. I checked out in Duluth and Dubuque. I don't know what to say. We're so beaten up at this point. I want to say, oh hi Czar. As soon as I start recording. I want to say that I'm really happy I'm as old as I am. I'm 55. I'm thrilled I'm as old as I am. For two reasons. One, I experienced the old millennium. There was some sort of reality demarcation dividing line, of course, in which it was always insane to a degree. Richard Nixon, for example, things like that, ridiculous stories, fake news. It was all still the not milk script and plot, but it went on steroids times a trillion in this new millennium. I think it's the millennium shift more than the century, although that just compounds it. I'm thrilled I'm as old as I am because I experienced it, but also because I can't take much more of this. I don't want to just do Foxconn jumper nets. I want to, I have a lot more to do. The worry about yourself activities. I have a lot more I even need to experience. Well, what can constantly be experienced in your backyard? I don't know. But there's more to be experienced out there. Come on, Czar. Down. Wrapped up in the... But I have more to experience. I have more of the worry about yourself activities to do. More things I need to do for myself while I'm here. So I'm not ready for the Foxconn jumper nets or anything like that. But I'm thrilled that I am 55. And let's just say, maybe when as it was described, the full 1984 society as it was described via Oceana and Ingsoc, I won't be here to see it. I do say many times, guys, that this not milk, this evil system that's here, is a role player. It was designed into this reality, in my opinion, as you all know. It wasn't, this reality, in my opinion, was not supposed to be something different and a wonderful utopia of lube, and it was hijacked, and we've been over that many times. I believe things are almost as they're meant to be. There is meant to be an evil here, a system, a spiritual adversary. It was designed into the reality. But that doesn't mean, of course, that we have to like it. And it doesn't mean that, even though I've said that many times, that it won't push us at some point to what would be considered the edge or the breaking point. And I want to be very clear, although the evil here in the spiritual adversary to me is a role player, and it's necessary for our spiritual growth. Okay, I'm not going to probably get into school and all that stuff in this video. My position on that is clear, and the position on others is clear. But at some point, it is possible it could push us, let's just say, to the breaking point. You hear about the new digital ID system. So Europe is always ahead of this in terms of the United States. The United States, whatever freedoms exist, usually the last to hold on to any semblance of freedom before it's removed here. I'm not sure how many years or decades we're behind, but it's Australia and Europe from the Western perspective that just moves ahead at lightning speed. For example, the Second Amendment that in Australia, for those in Australia, that means the right to bear arms and have handguns, rifles, etc. in your home and even on your person if you have a carry permit, etc. That's the Second Amendment, Australians. The right to bear arms. Most of that in the West, of course, has been completely taken away. Of course, we still have it. Very strongly in the United States. The red state, people in red state, the Trumpers, for example, the people with the American flag still welded to the back of the pickup truck because that means conservatism somehow. I don't know. I used to give the conservatives a break, meaning the way they saw the world was much more logical and sane than, of course, the way the liberals saw the world. They're completely insane. But now it's almost even. It's almost even. How crazy the right is almost matched the left, and that's saying something. That's almost hard to believe. But the Second Amendment is still here. I was going to say, they don't have one or two handguns. If you have one or two, you have 10, 12, 15. That is very, very common here in the United States. So the freedoms are pulled away from those that dwell in the United States, the corporation here. The freedoms are pulled away last. So I guess I'm, like Bill Murray said in Caddyshack, after he told the story of catting for the Dalai Lama, say, at least I got that going for me. At least my freedoms will be taken last. Everything's cool. Anthony, that was I was wondering where that was from the other day. That's when Lisa took Anthony Michael Hall away from his parents and was going to take him to a party. It's a movie party. That's where everything cool. He did that out the window, and I didn't realize when I made the video last time where that came. Sorry. So our freedoms are taken away last here. So at least we have those in the United States over those in Europe and Australia have that going for us. But there is a point, I was going to say, where they just will push. I think this not-milk system will make the mistake, even though it has its digital twin modeling and its AI system. It needs to push and push and push. It never stops. It can't stop. There is no final bad guy here in the back room sitting on a giant rusted iron throne. Everybody here that operates as the not-milk, as the system, is operating on a frequency or a download. There is no final bad guy to find. Yet 99% or more in some way are serving it. Even people in your family that you consider to be, good people, fine people, if they're just constantly watching Fox News or watching CNN or MSNBC and getting riled up by headlines and Trump shenanigans. And I went up to check on Duluth and Dubuque, and incredibly, they're pulling the same script again. It is, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's so insane. It's so ridiculous how everybody can't see it. It said something like, no final deal in the 11th hour. Shutdown could be inevitable. Something like that. And they're going back to that well again about a government shutdown, of which maybe they'll find the fake funding and the money printing and the money creation just at 11:59 before midnight, and if not, they'll do 5, 6, 7 days of government shutdown, and all the trash services in Washington D.C. will be suspended, in certain air traffic control, offices. Flights might be compromised for safety because the FAA. There's certain federal workers that aren't showing up. I mean, whatever they say, they will pull that same. They're going to pull. Now usually they haven't pulled the complete shutdown for a while, but they're capable of pulling it in this case. I guess I was going to say every 5 years or so they pull a 5 or 10 day government shutdown every 10 years to make it look good, but it doesn't even make it look good. It's so pathetic. It is incredible how everybody around us keeps falling for these same things over and over again. But not to stray, I just have to end the point here because I'm pushing 10 minutes already. And I want to, this thing doesn't always record, as you know, so I can't go over 10 minutes. I have to make sure it's recording. I'm thrilled to be 55. And, the average age of my family members right around the early 80s. Can be late 79 to 81, 82, 83, most of them kind of fall in that. And, I'm not, you want to make it there? I don't know. I don't want to live in pain, but I'm let's just say I'm not. I feel for those who see through everything that we see through, see the not-milk, see the world for what it is. And there's a few here that are in their 20s. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I. But it was all. You were meant to be here in that time. You're going to be able to do it much better than I could do it. The Darwin advocates and the scientists will tell you because of evolution and which one of your ancestors mated with another one of your ancestors, and if that ancestor would have run off with another man, you know what I'm saying, then you wouldn't be here right now. So the chance of you sitting here right now, 1 in 100 trillion, if you go back through thousands of years, or your ancestor that was a marmot didn't mate with that other marmot and left that marmot for, animals can do it too, another man, then you wouldn't be here right now. So of course, the rule of opposites says that statistically, if per science and per Darwin, the chances of us being right here in this form, in this evolutionary form, in this form at this time is 1 in trillions or whatever it may be. That means no, it's 1 in 1. It's 100% meant to be. It's always the rule of opposites. So you could apply that to the younger person watching this video. The chance of you coming in later and you living through the more hardcore 1984 Oceania-type dystopia that is absolutely coming with the AI and the digital IDs and, social credit scores, you were meant to go through that. Maybe I wasn't tough enough to go through that. Maybe my spiritual whole chose this because this is all I could take. Maybe. So don't despair. I don't mean to get anybody down if you're in your mid-20s watching this or early 30s. Just think of it this way. And to me, I'm not just saying this to make anybody feel good. It's likely, again, the chance of you being here, and this time it's 1-to-1, 100%, rule of opposites. So you either you needed maybe a harder challenge, much harder challenge than what I went through, and anybody over age 50 in the 70s and 80s and 90s. That was easy. Not Milk was there. I keep saying President Nixon, that the quote popped in front of me, the famous interview where he says, if the president does it, then it is not illegal. If the president does it, then it is not illegal. That keeps coming up for some reason on my mind, so I said President Nixon. And, that's a ridiculous not Milk actor, a downloaded entity, whatever that may be. We have these, it's all fake back in the old century too. How somebody like a complete loser like Jimmy Carter could become president. It was all fake back then too. But it was the dial was just a 2 or 3 out of 10. It's now a 9 out of 10, and it's going towards 10 out of 10. So we had it was the same sinister element. It just didn't have access to the same tools and resources. The world was much more normal. But I'm saying that's maybe all I could have signed up for. My higher self says, or somebody talking to me in the spiritual realm said, you're going to go to Earth? You're going to, and the complete spiritual whole said, yeah, I'm going to do it. Should pull Bill's poster of that big top Earth. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Earth. You're going to do that hardcore pipe hitting experience. Yeah, I'm with the fast track. I want to get this shit all done all at once, even though it might be several lifetimes or whatever it may be. In terms of comparing it to all that has been and all that ever will be, or what's tens of trillions of years, it's even if you've done 100 lifetimes, it's nothing. It's that in terms of maybe the age, if we could assign an age to spiritual self. You're going to go into Earth? Yeah. You're not going to go into you're not going to go into that 21st century where the AI came and actually hell no. I'm going to go into the 70s. So that's easy. That's easy. That antibiotics, if you got sick, they basically could fix it. Automobiles, that's all I can take, man. Are you going to Earth? No. Well, then shut up. I'm going in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and my older self will experience a bit of that the 2020s and 2030s. My older self will experience that, but I'm not going in there as a young person. Hell no. That's probably what happened. Let me just make sure this is recorded. Here's a headline. Trump, all the headlines, it's Trump, 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 all the time, 24/7, 360, Trump, 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 Trump. Although there's a brief period where it's 7 to 10 days. Kirk. Oh, Kirk means church. Oh, yeah, no, Kirk means church, yeah. Trump must learn from failures in Ukraine if new Middle East plan is to succeed. Trump must learn from failures in Ukraine. Well, what does he have to do with it? Isn't it just, it's supposed to be a war between Russia and Ukraine? What's Trump, his failures? It's all about the United States. It's all about Trump. People buy this shit. Oh my God. See, if he has a new Middle East peace plan for Gaza, didn't he say something like it should be turned into a giant strip mall or something like that, or just surf shacks or something? Everybody gets a copy of the Beach Boys' greatest hits in Gaza and West Bank, it's all about Trump. Trump. If Trump did different things, Russia, Ukraine guys. Is anybody new here? It's a one world script. Trump isn't responsible for anything. The same part of the one world script initiated Right during the Olympics, of course, the war between Russia, Ukraine, the one world system initiated that, just as they tell Trump what to do and how to act. Anybody new here? I don't want to make it seem like this is actually playing out on its own and it's real. No, absolutely not. Hi, Czar, coming back. How you doing? People want to see you way more than they want to see me. How you doing, Czar? What do you think about the Middle East peace plan? No. She said horse shit. These headlines, I mean, in terms of stalled century, how long can they keep it going without anything new? How is this even possible? Shutdown. It's this, and now that they've started, it's kind of like these conflicts have fallen into stalled century mode. Israel, Gaza, West Bank, that just goes on forever and ever. Where in the old days, the little conflicts between Gaza, West Bank, and Israel, they only lasted 6, 8, 10, 15 weeks. They didn't, and it ended when Israel bombed the heck out of Lebanon 20 years ago or so, 18 years ago, that just leveled all of Lebanon, Beirut again. Sorry to gross anybody out that's eating. I have to tell you what happened. It's a cat yak. Zara is just a pretty normal cat in that regard. Like once a week you hear something going on. You see a little pile. Bootsy was 5 or 6 times a week, if sometimes twice a day. And Belle was basically every day. Belle kept nothing down. At the end with Belle, I actually had to get little pieces of rotisserie chicken and little pieces of fish, and almost human food is all that she could keep down. Sorry, like Matt, did we sign up for this? No, sorry, but that's we were talking about. I guess what stalled century regarding the current conflicts have seemed to be caught up in stalled century. We're not Nilk in the past, and if you're listening, not Nilk, and I'm sure you are, your ruses, your cunning attempt to trick us, your ridiculous scenarios and all the bullshit, you would kind of move on from them, not Nilk. You would do what you needed to do to fool the people for 8, 10, 12, 14 weeks, then you'd move on, and to a degree. I mean, it was always somewhat repetitive, but now it never moves on. Is that one of the characteristics of the new century and a necessary ingredient in your knuckle bones, your spell? I don't know, but I feel bad for the Ukraine, for example, and for parts of Russia, because although for all the first grade truthers, Matt, there's absolutely. Let me back up. It's 90% not what they say, but that 10%. There's still some real people affected. All right, it's not completely wag the dog. I mean, the first grade truther just can't understand this. First grade truther, it's Matt, go rent Robert De Niro, wag the dog. There's absolutely nothing going on. There wasn't one, wrist rocket fired in anger. To the first grade truther, it's 90% less than what the news wants you to believe. But there have been real people hurt, of course. There have been elements that you would call, of course, a war, or seemingly a war. Okay, who are you talking to? I know it's less, but it's not with the first grade truther. But I feel for Russia and part of Ukraine, because anything that gets caught up in the stalled century output of the Ministry of Information propaganda, whatever the themes are going forward, are carried forward forever. It never goes away. Same with like the first grade truther thinks nobody's been negatively affected in Gaza. If you go out there, it's just Beach Boys' greatest hits and Surfing the Break. There's nothing, no apartment buildings bombed out, no parts of the city bombed out. Just that's all AI. Real people have been hurt. Okay, yes. Who are you talking to? I'm not bowing down and believing everything presented on the news, but as usual, it's a hybrid situation. I feel for the people because it seems like even these conflicts, which I said used to end in the past, they just go on and on and on. Like my cousin, it's a Mandela effect. I'm gonna bring that in for just 45 seconds. I hope the trigger would stick with me. It's the song that never ends. It goes on and on and on, da 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 da, and then you start again. It's the song that never ends, without a doubt. I remember her. I mean, literally driving me crazy. She was I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, my little cousin, over and over. It's a song that, now it's the song that doesn't end. And it always was doesn't end. That's 100% an anchor for me. Because that song, her singing that song was driving me crazy. It's the salt century that never ends. It just goes on and on. Whatever's caught up in the stalled century spell, look, at some point, even the not knows it can't be the 100-year war. I mean, whatever going on in Gaza and Ukraine and Russia, at some point, and it will end. Okay. That doesn't mean it will go on literally. I don't mean literally forever. At some point, Jim Cramer, you'll turn on CNBC to get your stupid stock picks and your booyah hitting the buttons and that fraudulent asshole. At some point, he won't be here. Because at some point, they'll wheel him out, I guess. That sort of entity lives in the flesh as we do. They'll wheel him out and he'll booyah from 90 years old, and he'll be injected with his interferon drugs or whatever they use to keep themselves alive through 90, through 100, and some. He'll be injected with the same David Rockefeller drugs, and they'll wheel him out. Oh, booyah, Jim, stock picks. But at some point, it will go away. Please don't take what I'm saying literally. I don't think 4 generations from now, if you and your family continue to have kids, that they'll be watching news headlines about the war in Russia, Ukraine. But it has been the conflicts. I'm just saying, if you're as old as I am, he's an old man. That was Uma Thurman in Dangerous Liaisons. If you're as old as I am, you remember these conflicts were relatively short term. The Not Nilk would end them. They started them. They created it. Then they got the most out of the news headlines that they could, took away as many rights as they could, reconfigured society, and then ended it. Where now it seems to be a little bit different. I'm over 5 minutes. I better start checking to make sure all these segments recorded. Now, after that somewhat depressing conversation on reality, for some levity, I'd like to show the Peter Stuyvesant commercial, but I don't even think I can show you this anymore. The copyright issues, they have me turned to 10 out of 10. I just got that strike that was looming over my head for month after month. I think they just removed it. So I'm back to, you're free, you can go, I'm free again. But I can't even show you this. But let's try to remember it, and let's try to work it into Not Nilk. Smooth tobacco, special fruit. A Peter Stuyvesant lifestyle is the Not Nilk lifestyle. That's not that right there. That would not be. They're not trying to. Let's just say, well, you don't want me to say what the subliminal advertisers are trying to get out of that. Look at this hand job. Look at him water skiing with his little hat on. You look at that jerk off. Get your little hat out of it. If you had your speedboat you were going by, take the hat off, you ass wipe. Who are you trying to impress? Look at these hand jobs. Is this the guy that dives in? Look at that. Look at that guy he does a swan dive off the side of that rickety old piece of shit. Anybody that would, it's like Chet, anybody with a haircut like that, anybody that would dive like that's got to be an asshole. You and I should be able to pull up in speedboats and whisk every one of those girls off that boat. Why are you with girls? Why are you with these assholes? Look at these jerks. We got Peter Stuyvesant too. Come with us. Look at these wimps. Come on, girls. Come, look at that piece of shit sailboat. Come over come get with the hero and lose the zero. Oh, sorry. This a reality video? Yeah, what do you want? So this is where we are, guys. As the years go by and they continue to put me into a tighter and tighter box, I can't risk showing you any video anymore. Of course, this is the funeral of King Kim Jong-il in Pyongyang, which he'd be replaced by the famous noodle maker Kim Jong-un. I just have to act it out for you. I can't play the sound. I can't play the video in real time. So I have to go, we don't want the little fat man. Actually, somebody pointed out to me, Matt, as you do Not Nilk travel tours and as you make fun of one country after another, the list of where you can't go on this earth is getting rather large. Could you imagine if I tried to get off a plane in Pyongyang after doing, we don't want no fat replacement. That's it for me. No Pyongyang for you, Matt. Matt, this is broken down. One more segment. I'll get back to the very reciteer reality conversation. People need levity. That's a new word. I'm going to use it a lot. Everybody in this new reality is using the word iconic. The AI started pushing it, and all the people on the download are now saying iconic. Have you noticed how many times they're saying, that's iconic? I'm telling you, the AI is now pushing it out, and people in the download then just adopt it. Matt, this is Sabalenka, remember, from the U.S. Open. Matt, you go on tennis date? Let's just say you 20 years younger. You go on tennis date? No, absolutely. All I can say is Victoria Azarenka is a real woman from Belarus. And this one, Sabalenka, she's from Belarusia. Victoria Azarenka, just be fortunate they didn't have that G.I. Joe cocktail for you when you started your tennis career, because you're a real woman with a baby. Got the G.I. Joe cocktail. Sorry. Probably about 49% just want nonsense, old guard. You know, what are you going to talk about? Reality again, Matt? There's a spiritual bad guy here. And she stepped on the bar. I mean, repetitive, I guess. But again, this is an Amish classroom. There's people coming and going. I'm okay, old guard. You're like radio, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s radio, repeating the 11th grade over and over. I appreciate you being here. I have to reiterate the basics of how this reality works. We can't just make fun all the time, although many of you would want the channel to be nothing other than the last 3 segments that I showed you. So, guys, I wanted to talk about there are certain, let's just say, role players inside the Not Milk system that are incredible beneficiaries of the stalled century. That is the what is necessary, what is important to the knuckle bones at this time, or the spell is the stalled century is a key aspect of the overall spell that they're laying down. And now I'm not jealous of these not milk players, but they think they're special. They think they're brilliant and genius and irreplaceable, yet they just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Let me just give you some examples so you know what I'm talking about. LL Cool J. All right, Matt, let's make fun of these idiots for the rest of the video. Okay. I was watching a football. Oh, you watch sport, yeah. I was watching a football game. Oh my God, I actually go and do mindless things after studying dark reality 7 days a week. He actually is allowed to get away. Calgon. Here comes a Jeep commercial. The new Jeep commercials have adopted LL Cool J and brought him back into the mix. He must be 60 something, and it's the same old. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for you. Oh God, it's always my generation. It's always music from Generation X. It's always the same recycled stuff from my generation or a little bit older, like The Who or whatever. The young people like, well, it's always you old people stuff all the time. So LL Cool J, here's the thing. From his perspective, he's a gigantic winner, but he thinks he's special and great. But if I could talk to LL Cool J, I'd say, LL, come here, LL, don't call to come back. Come here, sit down and put your corn dog down. I can't say, you know what I was going to say, because that's racist, even though I'd say it to anybody. You think you're special, that the not know just keeps you to the forefront. On the female side, we'll talk. Well, let's just cover one gender at a time. There's many stalled century character actors on the female side as well. You think you're great. See, you just happen to be at the right place at the right time. You are necessary for the stalled century knucklebone spell. You're not great. You have like one song. Don't call to come back. I've been here for years. Like, I'm going back to Cali. We're going back to Cali. I don't think so. That's great. That's just great, little man. He stinks. They all stink. They just happen to be, whether it be Jim Cramer, Larry Kudlow, there's thousands of these stalled century players if you go down the line. They just happen to be at the right place at the right time, where they inserted themselves into reality, and reality needed them for the stalled century spell in some way. Ice-T comes to mind. He keeps being recycled on one of those crime shows. I mean, he was pretty cool when he was the DJ for the movie Breakin'. And then for a few years after that, had some songs. And he was back in the day, and he had some ties to the Crips and the Bloods. And he's probably not completely a character actor. He probably came from that part of Los Angeles. He was pretty cool. But see, and he was Ice-T he used to debate, and he used to be pretty intelligent, Ice-T. But he would have had a 5-year window of fame if anything were real. Ice-T, I mean, he's just weak. It's not Ice-T if you're watching, and I'm sure you are. It's just not good enough, sir. You're on that crime show. You're lame. You're lame. It's not, on the glove of the wheels of steel. He's reckless. The breaking stuff just came back to me. I used to love that shit. Ice-T rapping over the glove, mixing. It's cool. I love breaking. Ain't no stopping us. Nobody does it better as shit. But Ice-T, if things were real, Ice-T, you just happen to be at the right place at the right time. See how that works? You're part of the stalled century spell. You mean I'm not really that good? I'm not. No. You're not that good. You just happen to be at the right... Matt, you're jealous of the... No. But they should... At least I'd like one of them to understand that they're just not good enough. They just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Let me just pause and maybe I'll make a list of 10 here if we're going to finish the video out in this way. 10 character actors that believe in every bit of their greatness, that have just been put into those positions, just happen to come along at the right time. Hold on a minute. I'll make my little list and I'll be right back. All right, there are individuals on my list here, like LL Cool J, who we covered. And again, the list has to do with those that just happen to be propagated by Not Milk in the stalled century spell. But if anything were real, their talent level's so low, they should have just gone away after a few years. And now some are pushing 20, 25, 30 years in the public eye. They're huge beneficiaries. Not that you and I would want to have that job, but from their perspective, there have been huge beneficiaries in just being at the right place at the right time. But they believe that it's actually them and their talent that's doing it. So, okay, LL Cool J, that degenerate we covered. I wrote down Jimmy Fallon, for example. And then I thought, no, wait a second. The entire classification of late night, they're all at the same level of degeneracy. They're all not funny. Jon Stewart, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. They're all lame in their own way. If anything were real, they would have had a 2 or 3 year run, 4 years, and then they would have been gone. They're just not good enough. But now some of these people are pushing 20 years plus. Jon Stewart, 25 more, 30 years in the public eye. I've come across Jon Stewart a few times, just, flipping around the channels. I know he's beloved on the left. They just bow down to him. I don't think he's ever made me laugh, even a chuckle. Nothing. I just don't get it. I mean, just all he can do is put up a news headline and give a weird look or something. It's just weird to me. He's the lowest of the low, in my opinion. I mean, Jimmy Fallon is, you've watched some of his interviews. He's not particularly intelligent. He's not particularly witty. It's just strange to me how he could hold it. But it's not strange to us anymore because we know it's part of stalled century. Each one of these individuals believe it's their own greatness that's keeping them to the forefront. Jimmy Kimmel, I could see like a really tiny little group liking that weird brand of humor, but it's generally not good enough for the populace for him to have lasted more than 5 years. And then just complete jerk-offs like Stephen Colbert. Okay, so I started to write individuals, and it turned into an entire class. Again, one last time, these are individuals that should have had a 15-month life cycle in terms of their fame, and just they would have been removed. They just happen to be at the right place at the right time. The Not Milk needs them for some reason. If they were laid down in the initial cement of the stalled century, then they don't want to chip away the cement. As long as they can keep them there, at least the initial components of maybe the original spell. I don't know how their knuckle bones work. There's no other way these people could survive. But the funny thing is, they think it's them. They think they're good enough. They think Jon Stewart thinks he's funny. See, that's what's really funny about it. So I wrote the next one, the Fox NFL crew. And I started to write like Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw. And then you could extend that out to all these sportscasters that are part of stalled century. What takes the case that is Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw, I believe, are pushing 40 years. This is, it's mind-boggling. Fox NFL Sunday talking about the NFL coming on at halftime. They're pushing, I believe, 40 years. How is this even possible? None of them are that good. And then even Strahan on that show must be pushing 12 to 15 years. Jimmy Johnson's pushing 25 to 30 years. But then you could go Jim Nantz and all these announcers. Although there's what was the I'm trying to think of a few people they got rid of, but they basically get rid of nobody. It's all Pam Oliver is still on the sideline during NFL games. Let's not go there. It's all part of stalled century. So I wrote down Terry Bradshaw, but let's just extend that to all these announcers that are 20 years past their life cycle. I wrote down Vanna White because it's just it's the biggest part of stalled century, but we know that the Wheel of Fortune in general, from a cult or esoteric perspective, is very important to Not Milk. The game show itself is very important to Not Milk for whatever reason. Wheel of Fortune, and Vanna got caught up in that, and she thinks it's her. Like anybody could have just touched those letters, and it's just Vanna White. You have to have Vanna White on the list. Yes, that recorded. Next up, Queen Latifah. I guess the mirror image of LL Cool J came from a rap background, but this one's even harder to explain. At some point 25 years ago, the whole entertainment world started to bow down before Queen Latifah. I mean, she didn't have the hits LL Cool J had. He didn't have many hits either, but she really didn't have any hits. Had a few rap songs that nobody listened to. And then she appeared one or two times in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith, and all of a sudden, everywhere, Queen Latifah, she's hosting the Oscars. Who knows? I mean, there's no reason to spend too much time on it. Who knows why the Not Milk? And was Queen Latifah? Do I have it exactly right that she was necessary for their stalled century spell? Well, maybe, but I mean, there's no other way to talk about it. I'm not in their back room. Eyes wide shut party meetings. I don't know, but for some reason they needed to keep her around. Her fame and fortune lifestyle would have been 3 years. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So let's just get through I started to write down Snoop Dogg and things like that, but it's all the old gangster rappers are continuously recycled by the system, whether it be just for stalled century or for any other reason. You just have now the Ice Cube humiliation, which was War of the Worlds, was it? Yeah, not The Day the Earth Stood Still. I guess War of the Worlds, where that one, they say it's one of, or could be the worst movie ever made. The relatively new Netflix War of the Worlds. That's his humiliation. Although there's been others with like maybe is Friday, Friday a good movie, or Ride Along, shit like that. He's had other humiliations with all the old gangster. Now they're not all humiliated. Snoop has not yet been humiliated. He's doing the Winter Olympics. That's been announced. Remember Snoop invaded the Summer Olympics in Paris? He's now being brought back to do 100 segments for the Winter Olympics, if you can stomach that. He hasn't been humiliated yet, but he's part of the stalled century spell. Now, he in his own way, he does have some appeal. I'm not saying him doing interviews at the Olympics. I'm saying he's the gin and juice or whatever. He's different. It was a different style. That's not like some of the degenerates on this list. But would it be appealing today, put in 2025, when we were listening to Gin and Juice and the Dog Pound or Doggy Style? I think was the name of the album in like 93 or something like that. I don't know, like 92. It goes way back. He would have had a run, but he wouldn't still be around with Martha Stewart commercials and the Puppy Bowl. I mean, okay, the enigma, but Snoop Dogg, there is some sort of weird appeal, that I'll give you that, versus some of these others like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, okay, man, I guess I'm saying the same thing. Trump by himself here. I mean, even before the presidency, the Apprentice TV show, you're fired, and then this venture and that venture, and he's bordering on bankruptcy, and this casino's doing well, but this one's going back. The Trump, it just keeps coming and coming around. It's a huge part of the stalled century knucklebones, Trump himself. And let's just say, if anything happens, and I'm not saying like in the Charlie event that the assailant supposedly used a 30-6. I'm not saying that type of thing. I'm saying if he gets a certain type of illness, or if disease, if anything happens, to me it's David Bowie Island. It's just too much of a role player, pushing 5 decades. Donald Trump. After the 7/11 job application event in 2001, he's immediately on the scene doing interviews and just talking about, bin Laden. I mean, okay, Trump is a very strange caricature that has been, for whatever reason, part of the not milk agenda for a long time. I don't want to get into, is he just a character actor? Is he bloodline? Who cares? You serve not milk, you serve not milk. Who cares? And the last segment I wrote down, so it's much more than 10 individuals. This gets into about 50 individuals total. Even the late night host was 5 individuals. The old musical acts that if the Eagles go out on tour, we can understand that, right? I mean, okay. If Journey goes, even without Steve Perry, we can understand. But the old musical acts that are still going all over the place, part of the stalled century spell. 2 or 3 years ago, I'll give you a great example. Bryan Adams is coming to the Philadelphia area. I mean, we got tired of it. I'm going to run to you. We got tired of that shit in 86. Was it? That was when I was going to high school, I guess. It was the summer of 69. Yeah. It was bad then. So I'm not talking about the huge acts coming around. I could even understand the Rolling Stones and their gigantic etheric egregore coming. I understand why people still, and I understand the Eagles, but these marginal acts, these are the ones that mostly keep coming around. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I mean, that's the type of Ace of Base. I think Ace of Base is touring, or I've heard all the old names that were just marginal back in the day. ABBA was marginal, but I understand the popularity in certain segments of ABBA. But they have a holographic show where it's not just them; they sit in the front row and watch themselves. I dedicate this performance to my hologram self. I dedicate. I'd love. That's what the Rolling Stones should do. Stop with your disgusting, smelly, flabby. Get off the stage and put your holograms up there and sit and watch the show and enjoy it yourself. That's what they all should do. The ABBA, of course, is a test ground, but I think they all should do that. I don't want to see some decrepit Roger Daltrey try to flip the microphone. It wraps around his head. I don't want to see that. I want to see them sitting in the front row as old men and just watching themselves when they were in their prime. I was going to say, I wouldn't go see that now, but at some point in the past, that holograph show of a band I really liked back in the day, like Pearl Jam or Soundgarden or Alice in Chains. I was into grunge was my thing in the early 90s for my age. That would have appealed to me. Instead of seeing some burnout Eddie Vedder that just constantly has to make a political statement, show the hologram of what he was during the Even Flow video when he jumped off 20 feet from the balcony. And all these fans in the mosh pit caught him. I'm not going to go see it now, but at some point that would have interested me. So the last I wrote down here was the old musical acts, and we could just do this all day. See, the elements of the stalled century are apparent even in a lot of places where maybe we wouldn't even think to look. It's not just in the top level of celebrity or people on the news, even in those that say that present space and what is the cosmos. It's the same players now pushing 3 decades or over 2 decades. I mean, Neil of the Grass-Fed, Mitch Pikachu, Brian Cox, Bill Nye, the science guy. I mean, it's the same 4 or 5 people pushing 30 years. Wouldn't they have new, young, maybe I'm just so out of it. I was going to wouldn't they have some younger people that are more like cool or hip, pushing how cool space is and what the cosmos is according to the not milk? Do those people exist? I haven't seen them. I mean, I just know in the U.S., we have Neil of the Grass-Fed and Mitch Pikachu is mostly here, and Europe has their Brian the Cock, and then Bill Nye the Science Guy wanders around. But see, that's part of stalled century. Does it interrupt the spell if they have a whole new group of people, 25 to 35 years old, talking about how fascinating the not milk version of space is, and what a quasar is, and what a pulsar is, and all the other fraudulent things that they say are happening out in the universe. To me, it's all part of the trick. It's all part. Put the pen down, Matt. It's all part of the trick. I mean, what the Not Know presents on news, what's right in front of me is part of that's part of the trick here. That's part of. Then what comes, the evidence that comes in through scientific experiment. Is it real? It's all part of the trick, of course. So yeah, Matt, let me get this straight. You know more than the scientists. Yes, we do. As Old Guard and me, and we go be one. We do. Of course we do. They take measurements on you're measuring the trick. Do you understand that? So anyway, but why wouldn't they bring in if it's not part of the knucklebone spell, why wouldn't they bring in a whole new group of hip science and math people? Maybe they have. Maybe I'm completely out of it. But now Neil of the Grass-Fed, egomaniacs like that, he thinks it's him. He thinks it's his greatness. I'm sure he's extremely confident. I'm sure if he goes on dates, I don't know who could possibly want to crawl out from under a rock to go out with him, but he's very confident. He's like, look who I am. They love me. No, Neil, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Neil, you're needed as part of the stalled century spell. It's not you at all. Your shelf life in terms of fame would have been about 6 weeks. You're not any better than that. Not pushing 30 years. So, okay. I just want you guys to understand. It's not just Taylor Swift is a huge recipient of this, of course. Maybe there was a 5-year period where you could understand her fame and superstardom, but it wouldn't go on now 20 years. That you understand? Okay, you could do this. Rolling Stones. I mean, of course, it just goes on and on and on. So, in terms of guys, if anybody's new here, what is this stalled century? I don't know. I mean, I have some ideas we've talked about in the past about it's important for them to give everybody the Linus blanket. You've heard me put it this way before. Everybody gets the Linus blanket. Look, Pearl Jam's touring again. See, the reality is the same as you knew it. It's the same reality from the last century, you old people, you 40s, 50s, and 60s. All the old acts. Look, Bryan Adams is coming back. He's going to run to you. It's all, you have your Linus blanket. It's the same old reality. They convince you over here that it's the same old reality while everything under your feet is being swapped out and changed. Even at a metaphysical, it's all a new reality. And I mean literally, in my opinion, a new reality. Metaphysically, however you want to talk about it. Quantumly, I don't know how to talk about it. But all the old acts, all the old names, see, that reminds you it's all still the same. Now that is really first grade interpretation of what they're up to regarding stalled century. I can't do any better than that when I say it's part of the knucklebones, that's just me saying the spell. I don't even know what that means. To me, I relate that to when in Robin Hood with Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, when was it just the tea leaves, or she put bones? It wasn't just looking at the tea leaves. She rolled bones or something across, and remember for the sheriff of Nottingham, who was Professor Snape. I forget his name, but certain scenes in him in Love Actually were really disturbing, especially that secretary that kept coming on. You take the movie Love Actually, and if you could remove 40 minutes of it, it's really a fun movie. But those 40 minutes are so disturbing, including Hugh Grant dancing on the steps or whatever. Sorry. So she rolls bones, and it's a bad omen. You remember the scene. Sorry. So that's why I say knucklebones. I haven't visited their Eyes Wide Shut parties. I don't know what their creepy shit they're up to, but it's part of the spell of changing reality while showing everybody it's still the same old Linus blanket. Now it's more than that. It's beyond my pay grade. I don't know what they're up to, but that's part of it. I know that, but I do sense, as you're yelling at me, I know that's first grade. Typically, Matt, you do a little better than that. I know that's first grade understanding, and I'm never gonna. They're stalling it out for some reason and using the same caricatures, and now even Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey are part of the weird mix. And this Jason Kelsey, who's in everything, if you watch a little sports, when he was playing center for the Philadelphia Eagles and snapping the ball, and Travis Kelsey was dating Taylor Swift, and he played for the Chiefs. Jason Kelsey is now more popular than Travis Kelsey, played for the Eagles. He was known in Philadelphia a little bit. I mean, he had no national fame. It's really weird. As soon as he's retired, he's like somebody for some reason with a certain type of personality related to Travis Kelce, related to Taylor Swift that the Not Nil can use. And now he's been in 100 commercials. He does this Monday Night Football, this and that. He's all and he again. It's he believes it's all him. It's not. It just people are selected and used in a certain way by Not Nil as part of this. And it's hard to say stalled century regarding Jason Kelce because he hasn't been around that long. But maybe he will be. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he will be put in Howie Long's place and he'll be around doing this stupid stuff 25 years from now. And I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. He's been selected, and he would have no idea what we're talking about. And as most people do, he would think we're completely crazy and out to lunch. But and some people would covet that. Oh, he's been selected. He's going to be, he'll make $5, $10, $15 million a year. And that's, to many people, that's a great lifestyle. And they don't understand, they don't see or interpret what this life is truly for the way we would see what this life is truly for. They want to recycle back so they can play high school football again. They want to be Al Bundy. Not us. We're pretty much done with this. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow on YouTube.